need in medicine to push dosimetry forward. We have a study going on at our own institution here at MD Anderson. It's a single center study that has been open since late 2019. And we almost accrued about 35 patients here. And in this scenario, we're looking at voxel dosimetry, looking at tumor doses, minimum tumor doses, maximum normal liver doses. So the goal of showing you this is these studies, hopefully once they mature, you will see that these trials are focusing on what is a tumor dose getting, what is normal liver dose getting, and trying to push the envelope in terms of doing proper trial design. So this is one study. And here's an example of that patient here. You can see here's the MAA image of this patient. The patient has 2 lesions out here, one on segment 8 and one on segment 2. And this is the Y90 image after treatment. And here's the post-PET image of the treatment. So you can see, with proper imaging, you get good concordance between the MAA, Y90 SPECT, or Y90 PET. Okay, so we should not put up with these people that, oh, the imaging is no good. I cannot get good PET images, or I cannot get good SPECT images. Okay, we can get very nice images. And you can see here, this is the first patient we treated and you can see after 6 months, this patient had a CR. These are perfusional abnormalities and not residual disease. Okay, and the patient then has come back and is surviving well up to 18 months. Okay, so we are seeing good results. And there is another study that's going on in the United States that's prospective, looking at first-line treatment of HCC with radioembolization. Again, using dosimetry of specific dosimetry of tumor and normal liver dose, this one with the resonant microscope. So kind of, want to sort of end here with the summary that, Y90 has been shown to be extremely safe for patients and the providers. Okay. But careful planning and attention to detail is critical. Although I didn't show here, liver is a really sensitive and pathological organ. That's why we have dose differences between sort of Y90 doses and external beam radiation doses. And hopefully I've convinced you that there has been a lot of progress in our dose models, okay, in terms of how do we plan and what do we do with it. What we really need is to standardize the dosimetry and imaging so that we are able to share and pool our data so that we get our results with more significance, so we're able to demonstrate those values. And then lastly is when we communicate, especially as physicists, when we talk of dosimetry, when we talk of these sort of models, we need to be very specific in our language so that when I say a sub-dose, I'm talking about what is the device, what is the dose, what is the method that was used, because all of that has implications on the final number that is reported on. And I'll kind of leave you with this slide, and I want to just thank a lot of my colleagues who I work with, especially Armin Mavash, my IR colleague who I've learned a lot from, and I continue to work very closely. My collaborators from around the world, my trainees who I've spent a lot of time with, funding agencies, and of course the clinical trials and the patients that have been gracious enough to participate in the pursuit of science. So I'll stop there and see if there's any questions or comments that I can address. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was a very informative demonstration. We would now request our chairperson to introduce our next speaker for the day, Mr. Viprojit Nath.
Our next person Our next person is Mr. Viprojit Nath. He is presently working as a research fellow in Tata Memorial Hospital. He has completed his master's in nuclear medicine from IIT Kharagpur. He's working, his main areas, or you can say that his research work mainly focuses on medical image analysis and artificial intelligence. He has received Tata Trust Scholarship for excellent academic performance and also Best Master's Thesis Award from IIT Kharagpur. He is going to deliver a talk on history of nuclear medicine. Over to you, Viprojit.
Screen sharing क्या? Is my screen visible? Yes.
Yeah, yes, we can see.
So hello everyone. I'm Viprojit, presently working as a research fellow in Tata Memorial Hospital. And today the topic of discussion is on history of nuclear medicine. So as well said by Bernard Cohen, that science taught without a sense of history is robbed. And that's why I will focus some time understanding the history of nuclear medicine. And that's the outline of my presentation. I will first start with discovery of radiation radioactivity and so on and so forth. So in 1895, a man took a picture of a hand, and that picture was so mind-boggling that he won Nobel Prize. And the man is none other than Wilhelm Conrad Röntgen. And it was for the first time that you can see inside our body without cutting it down into slices. So what went on, so on November 8, 1895, he was studying the light emission generated by electrical discharge in an evacuated glass heat of Crookes tube that he was trying to investigate cathode rays. And he blocked the tube with a black paper, and he noticed that a screen across the room was glowing. But when he blocked the beam with his hand, he could see the bones of his hand on the screen, and he spent several weeks experimenting on the new rays. And finally, on December 28, 1895, he published a report on a local physics committee entitled On a New Kind of Rays, in which he presented 30-minute exposure of his wife hand on a photographic plate. And that's the first medical image ever taken. And that's the picture of Röntgen's wife. And you can see that's the first medical image. So even though the quality of image is not good, but now we can see as the science progresses, the quality of image has drastically improved. So, and by 1896, he was awarded Nobel Prize in Physics. So that's Germany, where Röntgen is from. So that's the Würzburg, and that Spain is where Becquerel used to live. And Becquerel was kind of fascinated to know about the work of Röntgen, and Becquerel was tried to understand the mysterious rays which was created when this potassium uranyl sulfide was exposed to sunlight. So what he did basically, that he believed that this potassium uranyl sulfide, it absorbs sun's radiation and it emits X-ray, which led to such impression on the photographic plate. But one day he did the same thing, but he kept the same thing in a drawer, and he believed that there would not be any impression, but there was the same impression. It means that there is something inherent to this uranium sulfate crystal which emits the radiation. And he believed it might be X-ray, but it was not X-ray because this radiation was deflected by magnetic field, indicating these are charged particles. So we have now talked about the Wilhelm Conrad Röntgen era, then Henry Becquerel. Now comes the era of a great lady, Marie Curie, and she needs no introduction. Like her contribution to this field is immense, especially her work on separating polonium and uranium, polonium and radium, and that's Marie Curie working in